All right, we are going live. Hey, welcome. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about two topics that I think are going to be very beneficial for you in your creativity, in your business, and in your faith. And it's all about forecasting. So I'm going to be talking a little bit today about forecasting from kind of a question I received from one of my coaching clients. And after that topic, then I'm actually going to go into a little bit of life application. So two things. I'm going to talk about the question first. Then I'm going to talk about application as it pertains to biblical scripture to back that up and how you can use that in your business, as well as how I use it in my actual own business and how you can use that strategy in your life. So just want to say welcome and thanks so much for joining me this week. Very excited to be with you guys and hope that you and your families are safe and everybody's doing wonderful. So today what we're going to be talking about is a question that I received from one of my clients, and it's a really great topic to discover because it really has to do a lot about planning and how you should be planning. And most creatives I have found, this includes creative communities within a church. This includes like organizations, their media group, and everybody that is working together in that organization. Most lack this actual strategy and this tool, and they don't implement it, and therefore they're not getting the results that they want. So the words oftentimes that you hear is all about just being planning and having strategic planning. But today I'm going to talk about a little bit more of how to really maximize what you're doing today and what you're going to do and how it has a ripple effect into what happens this month, this year, and the next decade. So this is a strategy that I use, and it's massive in my business. It's massive in everything that we do in our life in terms of our family, our giving, our all of it. So I really hope this provides some structure. Well, let me tell you what I first heard from this client of mine that came in, and then I'll unpack the second part of it as it pertains to kind of some biblical scripture and how that applies to you. But I just want to first of all say thanks to everybody that is joining. I see on the different feeds, I've got Facebook going and I've got Instagram going, but I want to say good morning, Amy. Welcome. I'm glad that you're here. You guys can leave a comment down below. You guys can blow it up with hearts and little emojis or whatever you guys want. But just say hello. I love hearing where you're coming in from and how you guys are doing. So comments are always good. And Michelle, great to see you guys on Facebook, and thanks for joining us. So here's a question. Here's what it was. So he had written and he goes, hey, if you wanted to start making comic books and for your business, what small products could you start releasing now while you develop the book itself? Now, this is a really great question. Even though it's very simple, it's a really, really important, great question. And I think so many creatives mess this up, and it could really get dialed in really quickly if you implement this strategy. And again, I'll say the question again, is if you wanted to start making comic books for your business, what small products could you start releasing now while you develop the book itself? Okay, so here's what it looks like. When you're creating a bigger product, a bigger end in mind, I want to encourage you to always look at your life as like a firework, a kind of sequence, your year. So when you look at your year, and let's say you can say, man, I really want Black Friday to look great. I really want to have big sales in quarter 4 of our business. I really want things to take off, and I really want to make it, a big amount of revenue. I want to launch a book. I want to launch a short film. I want to launch a brand new clothing line. All of these sorts of things keep coming up where everybody keeps having these like kind of grandiose ideas as to what they would like it to look like. Here's how I treat it. I treat my year, when I look at the year, when I look at the days, the weeks, months, quarters, all the way through the entire year, I forecast that year and what do we ultimately want that to look like? And it looks like a timeline. And it's a bunch of small events that lead to a greater grand finale. Let's take one of my products, one of mine, which happens to be right in alignment with this question from my client. we are doing a graphic novel for The Kid in Me, which is actually right behind me. I don't know if you can see that, but that is the cover of the graphic novel of what I'm working on. So that is the cover of The Kid in Me graphic novel. Now, what we've done in prior years and months leading up to this bigger event is we've said we are going to create drops in the bucket that lead up to this event. Now, why is this important? Because when people come in to the grand event, they're going to look back on your timeline, and they're going to go back on your blog, and they're going to go back on your site, go back in your timelines and your feeds on your social media, and they're going to look all the way back, and it's going to create credibility and authority with what you're doing. And it's going to bring trust to your customers to see that what you are actually doing isn't just a one-time flash in the pan, but you've been leading up to it. So what we did was we started taking our blog posts and doing sketches in our blog posts as experiments to kind of drip the Kid in Me product. And by doing that, what that did was that started bringing in revenue where our blog was actually paying for itself. So not only did I write the blogs to actually be about the product that was to come, but it all amounted up to then being creating a big blast at the very, very end. The best part about it was our blog was being underwritten. We were actually making revenue off of our blog because instead of using stock photography, I would actually use the sketches that I was creating, the original art, putting that into the blog, and then that was actually becoming the products that were infomercials for what was to come ahead. So everything that you make, everything that you create has to lead to the next thing. This is the power of forecasting that most creatives miss. And most organizations, forget creatives, just most organizations and brands and companies miss if they don't have everything lead to the next sequence. So it's like one thing lights off a firecracker for the next thing that lights off a firecracker, and it's all a sequence. So in his case, for the comic book, the smartest thing that he could do would be to drip that to educate his consumers and his buyers into saying, here's what's to come, here's a taste, here's a sample. We call it the Mrs. Fields kind of factor. She kept on giving out free samples so that others could taste the product for free, then lead them back to the bakery. Now, why is this? I'll give another case in point. We have, and I'll grab it here. Okay, here's another example. So this is my book, which is a devotional called 31 Disciplines of Highly Successful Creatives. This is another example of where I took 31 weeks of my blogs, forecasted it for the year because I had to write a blog a week no matter what. I created each one of those blogs into written form, took the written form, created an actual chapter around that, compiled that into the book, self-published the book. We're selling grips of these per day. But this ultimately, if you look at it, we're using each week in the blog to be an infomercial for the product. The product, when folks come in to see the actual product, can go back through our blog feeds, watch the videos of every single one of these that we've talked about, and they're infomercials leading up to the big event when we actually did the launch. And I'm so glad that we did that because it continues to pay dividends as infomercials online forever and ever and ever and ever. I want to encourage you that if you're going online, that if you're doing anything on social, it has to lead to the next big part of the sequence. So you might want to break out a whiteboard. You might want to break out a big timeline in your room and sit with your team and look at, hey, what are the things that we want to lead up to? So just to let you know, like 31 Disciplines is one example. Kid in Me is another example. We've got other trainings, other free products that we're doing, but all lead in an ecosystem to a much bigger payoff and a much larger grand finale is what we call it. So if you've got like 10 of those running all year, just think about the income that you're making. Think about the revenue that the impact that you're making in people's lives, and it's automated. So that's the important thing too. So when you're making video content, when you're actually making products online, they're going to work for you and they should be leading people to the next step and opportunity. So like in this case, shameless plug, those that are watching this that were hoping to get the 31 Disciplines book, plus my book, Fear Hunters, and plus Speed Bumps, that book bundle, you can go to noelias.net/book. That'll give you a taste of how you can take these kind of assets, put them to work in your own life, and that's going to pay you dividends long-term and over the long haul. So let's talk a little bit about why we do this. I'm going to shift gears here. I've talked to you about the practical strategy of what that looks like in your business and in your creativity. But let me talk to you, and I'm going to shift to a biblical principle that is found in God's word. And this is what's so important to me as to why we do what we do. In Proverbs, Solomon is talking, and in chapter 16 of Proverbs, chapter 16 is probably going to be one of the most powerful chapters in Proverbs that you could read over and over again. And chapter 16 is probably one of the best chapters for devotions in terms of business. And I want to encourage you to check this out, because in chapter 16, there's 2 verses specifically that talks about your work, but it also talks about your plans. And so we talked about this morning about forecasting and how we can really make these elements be as wise as we possibly can with the talent and the time and the money that we have that's so precious to us as creatives, to make sure that we're planting the seed of our time and planting the seed of our talents as wisely as possible. Meaning not leaving any meat on the bone. We're not wasting anything. We're investing everything. So in chapter 16, the first verse says, to man belong the plans of the heart, but from the Lord comes the reply of the tongue. This is very important. Let me read the footnote of what this means. From the Lord comes the reply of the tongue means the final outcome of the plans that we make is in God's hands. If this is so, then why do we even make plans? In doing God's will, there must be partnership between our efforts and God's control. He wants us to use our minds, to seek the advice of others, and to plan, but nevertheless, the results are up to Him. Planning then helps us act God's way. As you live for Him, ask for guidance as you plan, and then act on your plans as you trust in Him. Second verse that I'm going to read is 16:3, and this is a very popular one that we hear quite a bit, but I really want you to hear the context of this morning. This is very important. It says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Now, this is very important because a lot of folks take this out of context and they screw it up. But listen to this. There are different ways to fail to commit whatever we do to the Lord. Some people commit their work only superficially. They say the project is being done for the Lord, but in reality, they are doing it for themselves. Others give God temporary control of their interests only to take back control the moment things stop going the way they expect. Still, others commit a task fully to the Lord, but put no forth effort themselves, and they wonder why they do not succeed. We must maintain a delicate balance of trusting God as if everything depended on Him, while working as if everything depended on us. Think of a specific effort in which you are involved in right now. Have you committed it to the Lord? My dear friends, for me and my business and for our family, let me be very clear at how this has worked in our own lives. I can forecast all day long. I can plan all day long. I believe that's wise stewardship on our part as believers to be able to say, God's entrusted me with time, talent, my money, which is treasure, and my relationships. Those are the 4 things at the end of my life that I'm going to be accountable for. And those are the 4 things that my life will be measured on. What I did with them as a wise steward. And the Bible talks about it as you look back in Jesus' words with the parable of the talents and how each one of them did differently with what they had been given. Were they responsible with it? Did they waste it? Did they bury it? Did they compound it? Were they wise investors? You are an investor in God's kingdom. And so you are taking your time, talent, and treasure as it pertains to your creativity, how you are living your life each and every day, and it can be wasted, it can be spent, or it can be invested. So as we plan our year and we say we want to be able to give this much, we want to be able to give to the ministries that we want to help in Acres of Love and rescuing AIDS orphans in South Africa. We want to be able to help with the local ministries that we're doing here. We want to be able to take care of our family, sure, sending kids to school, paying for things, underwriting, groceries, all of those things. But my question to you today and my challenge for you today as you leave today's broadcast is today all about your mission and becoming comfortable, or is your day all about seeking how you can take your time, talent, and treasure and looking at your year saying, how can we invest in those things that have eternal value? Or are we simply trying to get things met? Guys, my life, and I'm short on time this morning, but I just want to tell you, my life changed the moment I stopped trying to get things as comfortable as possible. Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first my kingdom and righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. I take the Lord at those words at face value, that if we put our minds and our hearts upon him and that we pursue his agenda, how do we fuel and further his kingdom? If we do that, the rest will be taken care of. The rest will take care of itself. I spent way too long of my life trying to get things as comfortable as possible, climbing the ladder of success, only realizing it was leaned up against the wrong building. My friends, I'm here to encourage you. We can make plans as wise stewards, but ultimately the reply of our plans and the steps and the way that they are carried out, I have to remain moldable, movable, and shapeable as to how the Lord wants to rearrange the furniture in our lives, how he wants to redirect our paths. But if I can start with our plans being committed, if I can start with our plans being committed to the Lord's plans, we start off on a great foot. I'm not on our own agenda. I'm not on our own path. I'm not following ourselves. I'm following him, his words. And when I'm following his words and his plans and his structure and his way and furthering his kingdom, he takes care of the rest of our life. And he shows up in ways that you can never, ever imagine. We hear the constant verse of Jeremiah, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, and one's plans to prosper you and to keep you, and to give you a future and a hope. Sure. My question is, are you about his agenda, and are you in his word? Are you making and committing your plans to him? Are you taking your plans, putting them in his lap every single day, saying, I 100% trust you with everything that I have, with everything that I am. You can have all of me. You can have everything. You own it all anyways. And when we live, not just from a surrendered heart, but a sacrificed life, my dear friends, your business, your creativity, your plans, your ideas, everything will go into hyperdrive. My friends, for those of you that don't have a personal relationship with Christ, direct message me. We'll get that handled today. But my prayer for you is that your business, your life, your family, your finances, your faith, everything that you have that's been entrusted to you today will literally be put before his feet as a living sacrifice, Romans 12:1, that you will offer yourself as a living sacrifice today. And by doing that, you're putting yourself in the passenger seat, allowing him to drive your life, leading you into the ultimate results of what he would have for you. So that is my prayer for you today, and that is my hope for you today, that you can look at, man, how can I be strategic with my comic book, and how can I be putting drops in the bucket to lead to something much bigger and much greater? My question to you is, yes, you might want to get those plans and those ideas and being strategic, but my question is this: what is the basis of your strategies and your ideas and your plans? What are they firmly rooted on? What is the blueprint of your life? What is the foundation of your life? If it is not Christ, we're in trouble. Because if you're finding your hope in something or someone else, it will fail. Christ is the only thing that does not fail, that has not failed, and will continue to be forever unfailing. And that is a love and a hope that everybody needs right now. I got to jump on a call, so I gotta run, but I just want to encourage you guys with that today. I hope it's encouraging to you, and I hope that you can apply that in your creativity. I hope that you can apply that in your forecasting, in your planning, and in your business and in your life. God bless you guys. Hope you have an incredible incredible day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, and leave a comment down below. Talk to you later.